good if it will help students focus on their class and like the material they're supposed to be using. I think that, given the subject and the topics, that it can be a good thing. Maybe having students place them under their chair, just sort of monitoring that they don't have it out. If they're caught using it, they maybe have to put it back into the holder. I think it can be a good thing, if students are doing research, if they're doing searches on the internet and knowing what proper channels to use, and they can always be accessing their teachers or accessing our media library specialist. She can always help like students be able to filter out the good versus the bad.
I think the phone holders are kind of dumb. I don't really think our phones should have to go in the holders. I think some students do learn better from having their phone because sometimes it's easier for people, and sometimes a Chromebook. A Chromebook is very restricting with what we can search, and a phone's not. If my phone's on like do not disturb or like on silent, then I can like keep it in my bag and not have it be a distraction from when I'm learning. In marketing, the teacher doesn't collect our phones, but I think with that it helps me get my work done faster because then I can just be on my phone when I'm done. I think technology plays a big part in our education because everything we do and like with learning is like 99% of the time on our Chromebooks. So I think a lot of our information comes from there. I think the only time we should collect phones is if we're doing like a test or a quiz, but other than that, I don't really think we should put them in there.
As a student, I feel like the phone holders they prevent me from, learning self-discipline for myself. But I also think that they're good in some circumstances because they allow me to be more productive, not do my schoolwork. I think it can distract them sometimes, but then I also feel like, if they need to use their phone for any other piece of work, it's beneficial to them. To minimize distractions, I usually put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I think technology plays a big role in modern education because in our daily lives we use our Chromebooks. I think tests are definitely a necessity to collect phones because I think it's important to not give students the chance to cheat or anything like that. Teachers should just, let students have the ability to have their phones in some circumstances because I think it just lets them grow into the person they will be in the future.
I think that they're I think that they're useless and that they only serve a purpose during tests, mostly. Do not disturb or having it face down, not looking at it. Like during projects, when we would have to research something. Yes, sometimes during like tests or like exams, but other than that, I feel like it's not needed. Having their phones on them, just not like on the desk, like they can have it on the desk like face down, and like here and there like use it and like pick it up. But I would change it to no phone holders, and if students get their phone privileges taken away, then the teacher can just take it until the end of the class.
Well, phone holders, I think, are an absolute deplorable thing to have in schools. They can become a serious distraction. So phone holders, they have a place and a purpose. My own philosophy, I think, is that in real life, people are going to have their phones with them. They're going to always have them with them. And they need to learn how to appropriately use them and manage their impulses. And so us removing phones from students doesn't really give them the opportunity for them to sort of have that responsibility, manage their behaviors, manage their actions in an appropriate and responsible way. So, while I do understand the benefit of having phone holders, I don't know that they're always teaching the lesson we want to be taught. So I think setting expectations with students so that they understand, what appropriate phone use would look like. I encourage students from time to time to use their phones even in class. Maybe if they need a calculator as a planner, super helpful because students all have phones. They're much less likely to lose their phone than they are to lose their planner. So I think discussing appropriate use. I'll teach some academic support classes where students are, largely working on independent work, and if they want to listen to music or something like that. And I think using it for that purpose is okay. If it becomes an issue again, then I address it. But I think just setting like reasonable boundaries and expectations up front so that students know when and how they can appropriately use their time,